4 guys is a crowd, but 2 is perfect company. Hey mate, that's a nice little car you got here. My name is Reese and I really support using recce's, especially an American Scout. A decent little recon car. A recon car that can frontally penetrate a Tiger tank. Yeah, can definitely do quite a bit of marauding with a bazooka. A spy with my little eye, and that begins with an F. Leave your answer in the comments below. We're pretty broken when they could shoot the cannon on the move. Thank God they fixed that. Sure do love recon tanks. Might as well just use pathfinders. It's a bit shit. May as well just be frontline infantry. Got 30 shots, they will get 30 kills. Greyhound's bigger brother. Could probably capture an entire town by himself. I mean, just look at your eye patch. I always thought it was humbler, but there is no L in the name. It's just humber. Everything's better when you slap a 50 cal on it. It's just a medium tank with recon optics. Yeah, we'll be able to find you a path. For the sake of all our Polish viewers, I'm not even gonna try and pronounce any of the Polish names. It's a 2-man recon squad with a weird name. It's a bit shit. Boy, I do love recon tanks. It's Special Forces Recon. It's also a bit shit, but it has a pretty nice paint job. I don't know, these Lancaster submachine guns are better statistically than a regular Sten gun. They do 4 HE per gun compared to the regular 3, which is a bit interesting. Some absolute top bench right, yeah. A high speed and low drag when they're wearing goggles. Tank on reels. Saboteur was definitely an underrated video game. A fantastic CQC squad. Motorbike recon is terrible. It's just absolutely terrible. Surprisingly powerful recon car. That autocannon, well, regular cannon, is extremely deadly. You know, the SAS are actually super army soldiers. I mean, look, this guy's a one-man army. Riflemen that are armed and loaded and armored. A pretty standard leader unit. You could spend 30 points on a Rotor 1 machine gun, or spend 20 points on a vehicle using a post-Rotor 1 machine gun. It seems like all military engineers just blow stuff up. Problem with that, I enjoy blowing stuff up too. One of the few allied infantry squads that can go toe-to-toe with Panzer Grenadiers at long range. Pathetic. Like a lot of allied infantry, the best way to beat Axis infantry is just to out-spam them, and rifles are fantastic at doing that. Still a bit crap, but for 20 points, not too bad. A decent leader unit. A one-shot wonder. Earn it. Very chunky infantry squad. Used to be much better before the veterancy nerfs. If they only had smoke grenades. Also used to be much better before the veterancy and MG nerfs. Leader unit that can really lead from the front. Never say no to a 50 cal. They're alright. Meh. Also pretty meh, but they're nice and cheap. Really enjoy his friend's kepi hats, so they're so funny to look at. Again, if they only had smoke grenades. Seems a bit of a lie. It's not 9 guys, there's 10 of them. Best infantry you can get for the 2nd French Armoured. Also a solid B-phase infantry choice. Fantastic in CQC forest fights. The Bren group, that's not half bad. The Operation Dead Stick. Get a micro. These chaps are deadly. Some better choices you can get. I'd skip the Vickers gun for this division. Hold until relieved. Pretty much just the B team. You lose a stun gun compared to your British rifle counterparts, but you're 5 points cheaper, so it's not all bad. Like in Star Wars, they can actually hit something. Pretty much Assault Pioneers, but with a bit of added spice. Surprise, surprise, the Desert Rat division has Desert Rat infantry. Rifles are one of the best infantry squads in game. Well, it's really just due to the half-strike they come in. Look at him, he seems so happy. Smoke and fire, boys. Smoke and fire. Insert Band of Brothers reference here. For M1919, woo. Before the flamethrower nerfs, they used to be the gods of the forest. Yeah, they're more like kings now. Lovely, well-balanced infantry squads. They've got a bit of everything. Another 50 cal, but with some airborne traits. Pretty sure they just played Duck Duck Goose to figure out who would carry the bar. For American leader that can lead from the front. More spammable Commonwealth infantry, but with a funny Polish name. Another Vickers gun. Another leader unit. Imagine 18th century dragoons, but with Piats. That'd be a pretty funny sight to see. Another sort of Polish leader. The thing about being a flamethrower man is that if you do find yourself stranded in the middle of the ocean, you do have something to keep you afloat. Absolutely biffin shredder. They're like stormtroopers, but instead of having smoke, they carry an extra satchel charge. A very well-rounded infantry squad. Only British infantry in it that has a machine gun that's not using the bloody Bren gun. The Vickers is actually not half bad, so it is a bit cumbersome. That's 6 guys here, and one of them has a sniper. That's cool. Really specialized Vickers gun. Even more well-rounded infantry squad. It's a rare for a leader unit as it doesn't have any veterancy. A grenade for every occasion. Essentially just an allied grenadier squad. MG34s are cool. The hotkit is even cooler. They really are just a very good Bren group. Awesome leaders for an awesome division. That's a lot of close-range guns. Pretty much an American Bren group. That's a lot of satchel charges. Why have run bazooka when you can just have 2? An awesome flamethrower squad, Joe. Very pricey. A Stuart that can command. Stuart that cannot command. We're gonna see a lot of Shermans before this video is over. Anyone fancy a game of pool? Oh, high-class Sherman. Real long-range Sherman. Who'd have thunk that a Sherman tank could have more armor than a King Tiger? I mean, it definitely pissed off quite a few people. Pretty street tank. Bad Churchill, don't take. Slightly less bad Churchill, still don't take. New Challenger approaches. Yes, this is a proper Churchill. A nice cheap British Sherman. Floaty Sherman. Sherman that's grown a big horn. Oh, well, multiple horns. I guess it's more like fangs, really, so... The whole rhino analogy doesn't really work. Anyway, it's a Sherman with some added shit on the front. Command Stuart, but of a lesser model. A regular Stuart of a regular model. Sherman with a diesel engine. Another Sherman, but with, you know, some French markings and French crewmen. So it's of course a good tank. It's got a big bloody gun. Expecting the French to have French tanks, well, the Germans kinda nicked them all. Fortunately, unlike in Company of Heroes, you cannot drop him behind enemy lines. Really quite a shame. For 55 points, you too can also frontally penetrate a Tiger tank. Cromwells are just not as useful as the Sherman, so they still have their place. The leader unit, for example. A very cool tank that was actually never used. This was a tank that was actually used, Joe. Yes, I'm actually surprised they didn't have like a command prefix or anything here. It's just the exact same name. Flies are flipping awesome. Speed, low drag, but not much armor, and that was an accident. A thick Cromwell. A pretty useless Cromwell. Not having high explosive ammo for a cannon is a pretty bad thing. Another tank that was never used. By the Americans, that is. I believe the British use a few M22 Locusts, because, by God, they really like our light tanks and armoured cars. Nothing really wrong with that. It's still a pretty cool tank, and it gives 101st a bit of flavour. Another Command Stuart, and another Cromwell. A Polish Cromwell, they kind of messed up the little paint job insignia here. It's another Sherman tank. Another Sherman tank. Another Sherman. Well, it's a Firefly. This one's a bit different. Sherman that likes going for a swim. A British Sherman 5 and also has a kick-ass paint job. No idea whether to make a war game reference to Sherman tanks in that game or like a War Thunder reference to Abrams tanks in that game. So let's just take a minute to appreciate the cool artwork on the side. A budget 76mm Sherman. We're going to be looking at lots of Shermans. I also forgot to mention we'll be looking at a lot of Stuarts as well. Should really have an extra run frontal armor due to all the bloody tracks on him, jeez. Crap, but cheap tank. Crap, but cheap tank. Not so crap, not so cheap tank. A very awesome tank. Really, really great fire support. Phase Panzer IV. Yes, please. Not as cool as a Bantam. Hello to General fucking Motors. A headless Greyhound. Not the best fire support tank you can get. A flamethrower squad. Yeah. Fantastic fire support. Absolutely fantastic. And Dingo was his name-o. A supply truck. A long-range Churchill. Very short-range, very deadly Churchill. Crocodiles rock. Gonna be doing a lot of commanding and not a whole lot of shooting. Crack, crack. Odd but useful vehicle. 250 cals and one big high explosive cannon. What's not to love? Le French Flimmer. French car, Riri. Jeep is of 50 quality. I think it's Greyhound Rust time. It's just an M8 Scott with a fancy name. It's just a fire support Sherman with a fancy name. Rough and tough flamethrower squad. Pretty crap, especially when SAS Vickers Jeep exists. Not really a whole lot of room back here for supply, but hey. Trunk with a cannon that can actually do high explosive damage. A long range Crommy. Canadians in their 10-point flamethrowers are oh so lovely. Spam him in towns and you pretty much win any town fight. Just an M7 but with a bit of a Canadian flair. It's a desert rat stag hound. You want to spam a lot of them, and I really do mean a lot of them. American Jeep supply. Another 50 cal Jeep but with a weird Polish name. Another supply truck. Polish paint jobs are always really cool. I do like their division logo. If you ever need to get into a dick measuring contest, for example, there's some nice measurements on the turret. Nothing wrong with some car-based cavalry. Cavalry command. It's a bit worse than the other M4105, but it's still an M4105. Doesn't carry as much cargo, surprisingly, compared to a truck, but it's got 4 frontal armor. Not really going to help much, because you're probably not going to get shot by AT guns, but if you're getting counter-batteried, this thing has a much better survivability rate. Someone does manage to kill a King Tiger in a regular match with his vehicle, please send me the replay. What's wrong with his arms? Not the best command vehicle. A cool supply truck. That's a lot of high explosive damage for just 4 machine guns. Fairly certain this is the only transport vehicle that you can buy by itself, and that's cool. American AT guns is really simple. It's either the 57mm or a 76mm. Probably miss. Americans judge their cannons by the measurement. The British just ray 'em. Welcome to Pound Town. Destination U. Wolverines! Bazookas use bazookas. What a surprise. Wolverine's a cooler name. Cannon of a 57mm variety. An A-phase Wolverine, that's cool. A rather underrated bazooka squad. Bring out the Piat! It's pretty much the same 6-pounder, but each one has the whole airborne, like, not being surrounded stats, and also it's 2 self-veterancy, so it's worth a mention. Quite like using the enemy equipment against him. Achilles heel of this tank is, well, just the top. It's very easily killed by bombs. It's a good vehicle, okay? It's a good vehicle. Bazooka of the airborne variety. Too bad you can't shoot in midair like in TF2. Essentially a pop gun. An American airborne 57mm. Armata is a pretty cool name. I dig it. And a bigger Armata. Same as the other Achilles, but it's just got a slightly different name, so we're gonna mention it. Neat AT guns when you got 2 Piats. Oh god, save me. They're not broken, I swear. All you have to do is blow up run anything really, and they've already paid themselves off. An Allied Pack 38, another Allied Pack 40. Panzer and A-phase to use against the Germans. Just sign me up already. Take my money. It's a better Piat squad, but for the same price. Before, there's nothing wrong with 2 bazookas. Anti-air is also really simple. It's either just 4 50 cals on a half-track, 40mm Bofors gun, or 37mm in 2 50 cals on the back of a half-track. The worst anti-air piece in game is absolutely pathetic. They have run posting when you can just have 3 of them. Or you could just have a posting on the back of a truck. Boy, it's crusading time again. Bofors on the back of a truck. The airborne postings are actually pretty good with their 2-star veterancy. Deal Canadian ground support vehicle. It's 3 trade postings on the back of a truck. This is also pretty good. It's a Mark II model because it's got double the guns. Bofors on the back of a different truck. Regular postings. Very funky Crusader AA piece. Score tilted technical. The budget of Bofors. American mortars are the best mortars, or I should say Allied mortars in general. Pretty much the best half-track mortar piece in game. Heck, I'd argue this is one of the best artillery pieces in game. An off-map Sherman with some 155mm off-map. It's a priest. Calliope, ye. Well, I'm just shooting 60 rockets at the enemy. Okay, so the Turin's carrier is not exactly a great unit, and rightfully so. It's overpriced, terrible range. It's not the coolest thing in the road. But it's not too bad in a town fight. It can definitely win you town fights if you micro it correctly. It can stun up Falchakers and Panda Grenadiers and Pioneers extremely quickly. A mortar of the 3-inch variety, and that's not the only thing, that's 3 inches. Nothing like a bit of good old Royal Artillery. Churchill is definitely not OP. They could only keep 1 machine gun in it. That's just pathetic. Big boy mortar. Right here kind of looks like a Spider-Man at the desk meme. 60mm mortar of the Ranger variety. An 81mm mortar, it's just regular run, yo. A 107mm mortar. Yeah. It's just mortars. Lots of mortars. So mortars are good, yo. So cheap rocket artillery. American big guns. More 203mm off-map, and I do like my 203mm off-map. Airborne 3-inch mortars, a very good pick for 6 airborne. These howitzers will be okay. They're not the best thing in the world, but for the price, it's not that bad. It's just a weird mid-ground between a mortar piece and like a regular howitzer. Some big bloody naval guns. Pretty passable. So the section is probably without a doubt one of the best artillery pieces in game. It's so universally useful. Especially these Canadian ones. They got bloody 2-star veterancy. You should take the 2-star veterancy ones. Cromwell with some off-map artillery. And the nice thing is, it still retains the main bloody gun. So you can use it as a natural tank afterwards. Praise the Lord. Regular 60s, Ranger 60s, no airborne 60s. American 75 howitzers, American airborne 81mm. It's as big as the British ones, but still a rather powerful armament. German off-map with some smaller guns. Practically a knee mortar. So knee mortar. Alright, Nigel, how many rockets do you think we could stick on this boat? Probably all of them, right? Yeah, we could probably just put all the rockets on it. Sure. How long do you think it'd take to finish firing them all? I don't know, like 6 minutes? Isn't it funny how the 4th Armored Division gets one of the most powerful long-range artillery pieces in game that's meant to sit back in camp for such a mobile and in-your-face division? Another small knee mortar, another Special Forces 3-inch mortar, pretty much just copying Commandos. 381mm naval off-map, but by a different vehicle. So as many rockets as our SSB counterpart, but still that's a decent amount of rockets. And another naval off-map, but this time by an M20. Yeah. I don't know what I'm saying. Point in the video and think, oh, I'm almost done. Yeah, I realise there's a bunch of transport units that they use, but don't have their own unit cards. So here we go. This is an MMG carrier. It's pretty alright. It's universally terrible. The machine gun is nice, but it just dies a bit too quickly. Absolutely fantastic fire support. Closest thing you're going to get to an allied autocannon unit, it has armor penetration. And yes, we're going to be doing the trucks too. I really have nothing to say about most of the trucks. Lloyd's carrier is pretty meh. It's just a universal carrier, and it's just a Stuart Recce. And the last Stuart, this one has a heavy transport capacity. It's a Jeep. Just a Jeep. I really have nothing else to say. It's a bloody Jeep. The thing about the Allies is a lot of their transports are 50 cows, and you can never have enough 50 cows. Even if a half-track doesn't have a 50 cow, it's still pretty good. Being amphibious is cool, but there's barely been any times when I needed an amphibious unit. Even though this is pretty much just a support run that you get in the 1st Infantry Division, we're just going to cover the transport run too, because it's a classic 50 cow half-track. What's not to love? Baby Greyhound before it's fully grown. It's a pretty kick-ass looking car. I mean, it's stylish. Back when General Motors was actually relevant. It's just a half-track without the tracks and no armor. Yeah, all you have to do is just switch the numbers around and boom, it just magically grows to 50 count. Maybe compensating for something, probably the lack of mechanization. Green, not right. Funny thing is, this is actually the Canadian model of the ROSP Universal Carrier being used by the British division, but the Canadians use the British model of the ROSP Flamethrower Carrier. Just a British M3 half-track. And the same with this one here, it has a bunch of, well, Spanish people in it actually. The French Resistance had race car drivers. It's a German truck. Being able to use the enemy equipment is oh so satisfying. I love using German half-tracks, so being able to use a German half-track in an allied division, yes, please. It's a Kubelwagen. We need a truck. Yeah, it floats. It's as bad as the Universal Carrier. Heck, it's actually a bit worse because it's more expensive. Kangaroos are very cool, but unfortunately, they're just a bit too expensive to actually be useful in the Canadian deck. A lot of points for a transport unit, but it does have 8 frontal armor, which is cool. It'll buy sea phase when you can get this. 8 frontal armor isn't actually that much. So far, trying to organize units, especially for the allies, has been a real pain in the ass. I haven't been looking forward to do the airplane part, because it got all the different sort of bomb loads. Anyway, this is a nice little recon plane. When you need to bomb Tokyo. I really like mosquitoes. The best part about them is they always have the same speed of 600 kilometers an hour. It's very consistent. Pretend you're playing airline battle by napalming the road at the start of the match. I mentioned Mosquito is also a pretty good fighter plane. Yo, it's not the great at turn fights. When it gets behind something, it usually dies. An absolute classic. It may seem like a bad plane because of its poor payload, but it reloads very fast. It's pretty much the same thing, but with 2 bombs instead of run. I guess you could use it as a heavy bomber, yo, it's not the best in that role. One of the coolest and best fighters in game. I'm a little biased, I'm not going to lie. So a rocket version of it, no one ever uses, it's not that great. Surprisingly effective anti-tank plane, can be a surprisingly decent medium bomber. I forgot there's a Mosquito that can shoot rockets. Yeah. Typhoon 2 can also shoot just regular rockets, so it's not as cool as anti-tank rockets. Who knew the Hurricane could be such a terrifying unit? They're usually pretty cheap as well. You can strap them with rockets, they can pretty much do everything. Quite a P-51D Mustang, but still pretty good and very fast, and has high veterancy, so a cool plane. Fighter Ace no one knew existed because originally to get him he had to subscribe to the Steel Division newsletter. Happy we have some smoke planes in Steel Division. I missed using them. Need something more conventional they can drop bombs to, I guess. Not want to fly one of these. It's a pretty dangerous job. This is more of a recon plane of my liking. Fast and nimble, and heck, it can even fight. Not the best rocket plane, but still a pretty decent fighter. Is that what I think I smell? It smells like complete and total air superiority. Even though it's not advertised as an anti-tank plane, it's a good anti-tank plane. P-38 can also drop some pretty big booms as well. Jeez, that's a lot of booms. The nice thing about the P-38 fighters is that they're very cheap and they can catch up to the majority of German planes. Small bomber Thunderbolt, big bomber Thunderbolt. Alright, an A-phase 101st, but not exactly necessary in my mind. Good luck shooting this down. Play C-phase 101st will have a conga line worth of these B-26. This is blowing up any sort of offensive maneuver that you dare try. An absolute MVP. Not as cool as Gabby. Have a 1 minute reload time on the bomb. 1 minute. A great recon plane, but a terrible fighter because you run out of ammo in a blink of an eye. To see some American-based carrier aircraft. You have a whole host of bomb loads. Bloody host. I mean, that's a lot of bombs for just a one-engine plane. When you actually load some ammunition in the C-Fire, it's not that bad yet. You can pretty much solve every problem in life if you shoot it enough with a 50 caliber machine gun. Nimble and speedy recon plane with a cool paint job. And a Lightning with a lesser bomb load. I'm just gonna go over the air and lay down a new carpet. It essentially acts as a World War I bomber. That one machine gun is really going to help you. P-38 rocket plane that can actually do a bloody good job. Best plane in game.